When it comes to Zebec, I still haven't given up. I still like what they're doing. Now, let me explain what I mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Because if I take a look at Zebec, current annual payroll volume is around $500 million. That's literally around $500 million. Not to mention, we take a look at how when it comes to their payrolls, they have over 250 enterprise clients. And also on top of that, if we take a look at Zebec, over 18 chains and over 150 tokens integrated, and we take a look at over 50,000 monthly users on and off chain. Is that a project that I don't like seeing? No, it's actually a project that I do like seeing because keep in mind, even though when it comes to the idea of 10 cents, I'm still thinking about that. And even though that may seem kind of like a long ways away, which is kind of the case because it is around a 27x from here because the price isn't necessarily doing the best, along with a bunch of other projects too. But at the same time, Zebec still seems to be kind of doing things, right? Even less than 10 days ago, we just saw a new partnership when it comes to Zebec cards, and that was in the case of we take a look at CyberLife, which, granted, is not the biggest thing out there, but we take a look at it, it's not that bad, you know? Sure, people may be thinking, okay, who cares about, let's say, something like CyberLife, which is an AI native gaming platform? Who really cares about that? Some people may be thinking, but still, it's not bad. Let's just take a look at, for instance, something called Cadena. Now, historically, I've been a big fan of Cadena, but then at the same time, I also have to explain how I'm disappointed with it. And it's not because of the price of KDA, which is its native cryptocurrency, not doing the best. It is because of what happened to it. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. The Cadena organization, they not too long ago announced that they're going to be ceasing operations. Again, the Cadena organization. Now, I think as a layer 1 blockchain, Cadena is still going to be around because even something like Luna Classic, for instance, for whatever reason, still has a very good fan base. But besides that point, and seeing something like that happen, I think it showcases that sometimes these market conditions, not every project is going to survive. Cadena looked like a very promising layer 1 blockchain, and don't get me wrong, I'm still holding KDA, but my hopes are not anywhere as big as what it was before because of what happened. And I think that kind of showcases that sometimes surviving at a moment when the market is not doing good, it's not that easy. So when I see something like Zebec, which is still thriving, allegedly, which is still doing its thing, which is still kind of having partnerships, I think that's kind of a testament to just how solid the project is. Now, when it comes to Cadena, what really surprised me was that if we take a look at the team, right? A member of their advisory team is someone called Dr. Stuart Haber. Now, Dr. Stuart Haber, keep in mind, is the most cited author in Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin white paper, and also on top of that, Dr. Stuart Haber is allegedly the co-inventor of blockchain. I mean, just imagine that. Even a project like that, that happened, right? When we take a look at the Cadena organization. We also take a look at, for instance, the two founders when it comes to Cadena, Will Martino and Stuart Popejoy. They both helped build JP Morgan's first ever blockchain. So just imagine that. Something like the caliber of Cadena, even that happened to them. So, is Zebec still sticking around necessarily a groundbreaking thing? Not really. I mean, that's a very specific case, right? When it comes to the case of Cadena, other projects out there that are even far smaller than Zebec are still thriving. They're still doing their thing. So it's not really anything unique that Zebec is still sticking around. But I think that, if anything, kind of showcases that sometimes it's not that easy to kind of stick around when the times are not doing the best. And while Cadena took a very big step back, Zebec is still kind of doing its thing. So I think that, if anything, again, is a testament to how well Zebec is being run. When it comes to the idea of 10 cents, yeah, again, it's around a 27x from here, but I still haven't given up because back then, when ZBCN was around an 11x to go to the price of 10 cents, the idea of 10 cents seemed a little bit bearish because it was just around an 11x, basically, right? But as of right now, 10 cents seems like kind of this sort of very hard to reach type of milestone, and only time will tell. But if it didn't even seem that difficult back then, again, around 11x at one point, right before ZBCN had a pullback, and also that was not even during an altcoin season. If there was an altcoin season, would 10 cents surprise me? The answer is no. It wouldn't actually surprise me. Now, when I take a look at it as well, people like to say, okay, when it comes to Zebec, though, it's not going to really become a big narrative because they say that there's too much competition. Well, I actually disagree with that in the case of Zebec because it's focused on, again, a bunch of areas like payrolls. We take a look at the cards, of course. We take a look at RWAs, or should I say real world assets. But if we take a look at the space of payments and global trade and finance, which Zebec has kind of that reputation for, is there 10 or 20, 30 compelling options? I don't think so. Now, of course, when I take a look at that space, the kind of two things that comes to mind is, of course, going to be Ripple and Stellar. But, we already kind of know that they're very massive, right? But if we take a look at some of the competitors when it comes to ZBCN, like a XDC, like a XPR, like a Swiftcoin, like a Onyx, or should I say XCN, don't get me wrong, I still believe in them, but that's not that many. So, yeah, like, how is that 10, 20, or 30 compelling competitors? I don't think there's that many, actually, in the case of Zebec. So I think it's actually at the right place at the right time. Had they tried to join this space maybe 5 years later, 10 years later, it could be a different scenario. So I still like what I'm seeing as of right now, and also on top of that, I don't think I'm seeing altcoin season. Sometimes people like to tell me, okay, why don't you wait until an altcoin season starts before you believe in the projects that you want to believe in? Why would I do that? Because can you imagine if, let's say, in a make-believe scenario, a project was at 1 cent, right? And let's say it went to 10 cents, but then maybe it could hypothetically reach $1. Just that journey, if I wait until 10 cents, that's already a 10x, Now, this is just, again, a make-believe scenario, but just the journey missed out along the way is just something I don't really want to experience. Now, granted, ZBCN is not doing the best as of right now, but keep in mind, when I was first talking about ZBCN, the market cap was way lower than currently. Personally for me, the way to take a look at it is that anything that I acquire when it comes to ZBCN under $1 billion in market cap, it's not something I'm going to complain about. Just because I kind of like the vision of Zebec. When I take a look at whether or not I'm accumulating ZBCN at 800 million in terms of market cap, 200 million or 50 million or whatever the case may be, I'm still going to do that because, to me, I just like Zebec a lot. I like what it's trying to do. Again, has an aspect of Solana, is kind of like a miniature version, the way you take a look at it, of Ripple and Stellar, has backers like Circle, which is the creator of USDC, the stablecoin, and as well as something like Solana Ventures. Why would I give up on it? It just makes no sense. So anything under $1 billion in market cap, I'm not going to complain about that when it comes to ZBCN in terms of dollar cost averaging, even though those holdings may be down for a moment in time, or who knows, only time will tell for however long. But I still just don't want to give up, and I don't mind because I know that I'm entering the altcoin space when it comes to this, and it's not even such a stable altcoin, right? It's not like an Ethereum, So I knew that getting into it, but this is what I decided to get into. But at the end of the day, if the fundamentals became bad, that's a different case. I have to say it how it is. But then if, let's say, the project didn't become bad, let's say fundamentally it's still pretty good, why would I say it's bad? Sure, the price is not doing the best, but if, let's say, the price wasn't doing the best, that's a different case. But really, again, if I'm trying to dollar cost average, I don't know why I'd complain about that, But besides that point, my kind of viewpoint is that I still like the fundamentals of Zebec, and I just don't want to give up. And that's pretty much about it. So whenever an altcoin season does begin, or let's say if it ever even starts during this cycle, it's not something I want to give up on, and I'm just staying patient, holding, still dollar cost averaging, and staying patient. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.